Highway 28 stretched endlessly ahead, a shimmering ribbon of asphalt under the midday sun. Earl was behind the wheel, squinting against the harsh glare. He'd been driving for 12 hours straight, hauling lumber from Cheyenne to Denver. The monotony was wearing him down when he spotted her. A lone figure by the side of the road, a splash of bright red against the muted landscape. Earl's foot eased off the accelerator. This hitchhiker was different. Tall, with a ramrod straight back and a bright red scarf fluttering in the breeze. The midday sun beat down on the cracked asphalt of Highway 28, a shimmering, endless ribbon stretching across the vast, arid plains. Dust devils danced in the distance, their ephemeral forms mirroring the restless hum of the truck's engine. Behind the wheel, Earl squinted, the harsh glare reflecting in his tired blue eyes. He'd been driving for 12 hours straight, hauling a shipment of lumber from Cheyenne to Denver, and the monotony was starting to wear him down. Then, he saw her. She was a figure in the distance, a lone silhouette standing by the side of the road, a splash of bright red against the muted browns and yellows of the landscape. Earl's foot instinctively eased off the accelerator. He'd seen hitchhikers before, mostly young kids heading to college towns, or grizzled wanderers with sun-bleached hair. This one was different. She was tall, her back ramrod straight, and her bright red scarf, the only pop of color she wore, fluttered in the breeze. As he drew closer, Earl could see that she was holding out her thumb, a small, tentative gesture. He pulled the truck over to the shoulder, the gravel crunching beneath the heavy tires. He shifted into park and leaned out the window. "Earl, where you headed?" The woman approached, her steps light and quick. She had dark hair pulled back into a tight bun, and her eyes, the color of rich dark coffee, assessed him with a quiet intensity. "Anya, Denver." Earl glanced into his cab. It was a mess, a testament to his long, solitary journeys. Empty coffee cups, crumpled maps, and a half-eaten bag of beef jerky littered the dashboard. He hesitated for a moment, then pushed the pile of newspapers aside from the passenger seat. "Earl, all right, hop in." She smiled, a quick, genuine flash that transformed her face. "Anya, thank you." She slid into the seat, her small backpack followed her, thumping softly on the floor. A silence settled over the cab, broken only by the rumble of the engine. Earl, usually adept at filling the silence with mindless chatter, found himself oddly quiet. He was intrigued by this woman, whose presence seemed to calm the restless energy that usually churned within him. "Name's Earl," he said, breaking the silence. "Anya," she replied, her voice soft yet firm. They drove in silence for a while, the landscape blurring outside the window. Earl stole glances at Anya, noticing the way her brow furrowed as she gazed at the passing scenery, her fingers tapping lightly against her thigh. He had a feeling she wasn't just going to Denver. Something about her radiated a quiet strength, a purpose that went beyond a casual hitchhike. "So, what brings you on the road like this?" Earl finally asked. Anya turned her gaze to him, her dark eyes holding a depth he couldn't quite fathom. "I'm looking for something. Something I lost," she said. Earl, a man of few words and practical ways, didn't press her further. He understood the feeling of searching, of being drawn to something you couldn't quite name. He'd been searching for something himself, for as long as he could remember. Maybe that's why he picked her up. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, they pulled into a small roadside diner. The air was thick with the smell of frying onions and cheap coffee. Earl ordered 2 cheeseburgers and a couple of mugs of Java. Over dinner, they talked, not about their destinations or what they did for a living, but about the things that mattered. Anya told him stories from her childhood, tales woven with ancient myths and folklore from a land he'd never heard of. Earl, in turn, shared stories of his life on the road, of the people he'd met and the places he'd seen. It was the first time in a long time that Earl had felt truly connected to someone, and he realized that maybe, just maybe, he wasn't the only one searching. Maybe sometimes, the greatest discoveries come from the most unexpected encounters, a chance meeting on the side of a dusty highway, under the vast, indifferent sky. And as they resumed their journey into the night, 2 strangers, each on their own path, found a shared moment of solace in the hum of the truck and the quiet companionship of the open road. Their stories, for now, were intertwined, and that, in itself, felt like something worth holding on to.